Who's there? Hopefully we'll let a few people hop on. See how everybody's doing. Get started on our midweek live. It's been one of those days, guys. One of those days.
Ollie, let us.
I don't know why he does this every time. Well, how's everybody doing?
Ollie. I think he actually might have.
Hi, Joe. How are you? Seems like you're the first one nowadays.
Oh.
Seems like you're always the first one to pop on. I appreciate you popping in. Go potty.
Come on.
He's gonna be bad again today. I don't know why he does that. So aggravating. He does that when I'm on the phone too. So if I'm like calling somebody important, he's barking in the background. One time, when I was in the photography business, a woman at a police department called me. And I kid you not, my kid was screaming in the background and the dog was barking like crazy. And I thought, oh no. She was calling about needing copyrights to a picture that I had done for a fellow police officer. And it was not good. I was embarrassed. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry. I've got a wild kid and a dog that thinks that he needs all my attention at all times. He can't handle when anybody else is getting attention besides him. So that's just where we're at. Good thing social services wasn't called. Because they would have seen my yappy dog and my child acting nuts in the background. She actually calmed down. I said, Lakin, I'm on the phone. She stopped. The dog did not, because he doesn't care what I say. I didn't train him like I trained Koa, like we train Koa. He's spoilt. This dog gets everything he wants and needs, and he's spoilt, and he has zero discipline. He is he's 7 years old and has never seen a bad day. He's never gotten in trouble for nothing. Okay, I'm having a rotten day. Turned 35 today. My mom's going to the nursing home. I'm going to be... Oh, wow. Sorry, Joe. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Lakin said happy birthday, too. I haven't had a good day either. It sounds like you are in worse shape than I am, though. I hate that for you, Joe. Hey, Eric. Oh, well, don't set yourself on fire. Don't set yourself on fire. Here's the thing is... Here's the thing is somebody says something like that, and then... I feel bad for you, Joe. I honestly do. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. But I'm awkward when somebody says something serious like that and then says they're gonna that their day couldn't be any worse if they got themselves on fire. I implore you not to catch yourself on fire.
I do either. I don't want you to catch yourself on fire.
Yeah, don't do that.
Videos.
In 100% seriousness.
You come out. Ollie, who?
I agree, Eric. I agree. He said, only you can change the course, Joe. If you're unhappy, fix it. Sense of humor. Yeah, can you tell that's how I get through stuff? Can you tell that's it? Besides the Lord. But the Lord gave me this sense of humor because I can't take... Lakin, will you grab him, please, and put him in your room? He's going to have to be put in the room. He's not behaving at all. He's getting worse every live. Yes. Daisy Q, I said at the beginning of this live, I've had a horrible day. And like Eric said, I tried to make it better. I did work on some seed stuff. I did a video. Y'all probably see the video tomorrow, Lord's willing, if it uploads. And just didn't have a good day. And it's mainly because of the rabbits. I'm getting discouraged. Clover, I've said it a million times and I've talked about it. She's just my girl that goes over. And she is, let me see, she's 3 days past. Give me just a second. No, sir, you're not going to act like that.
Give me them in the back. I'll put them in.
Put him in your room. Or a bedroom of somewhere. He's being bad.
I'll put them in a room.
She's holding out on me, and it's getting aggravating because now no, due dates aren't off. I know they're not off. And that's what's aggravating is because when she didn't when I talk to somebody that has rabbits and I say she's went 6 days over due date, they would look at me like I was insane and I have no clue what I'm talking about. But now that this is her second time being so far, she's 3 days past due date now. Now that it's her second time being so far past due date, I know that it's just her and this is just how she does. So she's had babies on day 32. She's had babies 6 days after day 32. And so, maybe not 6 days after day 32. Let me see. So 28, 29, 30, 32. So she's had, I guess she had babies 6 days after due date. And here we are 3 days after due date, and she still hasn't had these babies, and it has me questioning things every single time. This is the second time she's done this, and I'm just hoping she'll have babies soon, because if she hasn't, I told Andy, I'm looking to get out of the Flemish Giant New Zealand crosses anyways. If she hasn't had babies, she's just going to have to go, because she's getting older anyway. She's 3 years old, and you know, like their life expectancy is like 6 to 7. So, I mean, she's on the low end right now anyway. She's on the downhill. But I thought that she could do it. I mean, she's in wonderful health, and so I thought that she could have babies. So hopefully she does. One of the major aggravations about the fact that she hasn't had babies is I've got people waiting on her babies right now. I've got people locally that want her babies. On top of that, Beth made a nest. I did a live, a couple days ago, and Beth had made a nest. Well, Beth has no longer done absolutely anything now. Her nest is, you know, she's destroyed it. I've still got the nesting box in there, but she has not pulled any fur, but she's laying around and stuff, but they're on, let me see, yesterday was nest box day, so anywhere between now and 3 days from now, we should have babies. We'll see, though. I'm just, it's stressing me out. It's stressing me out. Must be the day I had an off day, too. I don't know what it is. I hope so, Daisy. I hope so. It's just, it's bothering me. It's bothering me. But on the bright side, I got everything together for our seeds. The seeds that we ordered have come in, and so I was going through those today. I've got a video coming out, Lord's willing, tomorrow, guys, so if you are interested in what we grow or what we're going to try to grow this year, then watch that video. I got our shelf out of the garage. Y'all see, the garage was a mess, and the shelf had stuff all around it. Didn't have much on it, but had stuff all around it. And so I got all our seed stuff together. I got all our seeds together. And so, Lord's willing, as soon as my mother-in-law has a day off, we will probably start seeds. She works through the week, and she works night shift. So I don't bother her through the week, the things that need done. And I know that she wants to help. I know that she wants to, you know, help do the seeds. So let's see. Yes. Yeah, they pull fur from their neck, so they'll do this, and they pull it from their chest and their neck. And that is what keeps the babies warm. So if you have noticed in any of the rabbit videos where the babies are really, really young, that there's a fur layer and then there's a nesting layer. So how rabbits do is they kind of build almost like a chicken nest. It's a real round area, and they pile the hay up. And a lot of times if they have a lay box, a deep enough lay box, that they will kind of tunnel a hole down into like a small spot about that big. And they will have the babies inside that, in that hole, and they will pack that hay hole with fur. So baby rabbits are more dependent on their mother's fur and the hay and their siblings to keep warm than they are their mother. Now they do need milk, obviously, to survive, and that does keep them warm, keep their digestive system going and things like that. But baby rabbits are very, very dependent on their siblings 100% and the fur to keep them warm. Now, depending on the time of year, in the wintertime, they're going to get fur. I've noticed from breeding this winter, they get fur just a little bit quicker than they do maybe in the summer months to keep them warm. But they do start getting fur over the next couple days. I want to say like 3 to 4 days they start getting fur. But they don't really start opening their eyes until much later. They're usually around 7, 8 days old, in that range, before they start open their eyes. They're kind of like a kitten or a dog. It takes a while for them to get their eyes open. And so once they start opening their eyes, they start hopping out of the nest, and usually around that time, I usually turn my nest on the side, and I usually take the hair out. By this point, they're going to have hair on them, they're going to be hopping around, and they're going to be pretty much nursing on mom freely as long as she sits still. As long as she stays still, they will be nursing on her throughout the day. The stronger ones are going to go straight to her. She doesn't necessarily have to hop in the nest to feed them. Now, rabbits are a lot different in the fact that they're not really nurturing. Mamas are not like mammals like we are, where they, or even like even animals that have like pouches, they don't keep their babies warm and they don't nurture their babies. Rabbit mamas are very separate when it comes to nurturing or caring or loving for their kits. They actually spend more time outside of the nest than they do in the nest. So mamas are only going to feed about twice a day. Now, throughout the day, they will kind of check on babies. If it's cold, they'll cover them up with that fur. They'll even pull more fur in the beginning days. If it's hot, they'll take the fur off. If it's kind of medium, they'll leave a small hole for the temperature to kind of regulate. It's kind of amazing, especially since they're so separate from their babies, since they're not really nurturing mamas, but they do, try to keep them to help them regulate their temperature. But mamas are a necessary, unnecessary thing when it comes to kids. They really need siblings. Siblings are kind of more important than mama in a way, because you can bottle feed rabbits. But some might get bottle fed. They're not the easiest to bottle feed. Rabbits, in a lot of way, although they're domesticated, they're not like, see, a lot of people want to call them pets. But rabbits, even gentle breed of rabbits, are still very much wild in their ways. They're still very much, they're just different. They're not like a cat and a dog. They're not. So anyways, there's been a lot of comments, so let me go through here. Hopefully I will. Let me see. Neat stuff. I didn't know any of this. It's cool watching how different animals care. Yeah, they're totally different. Do rabbits always make a nest for their babies? Funny how they... Okay, so they're supposed to... Mama rabbits are supposed to make nests for their babies. First time mamas struggle with it. If I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of them don't put their babies in the nesting box. A lot of them will not pull fur, will not build nest, even if you give them the material to build nest. And that's another thing about rabbits. When I was talking about they're not very domesticated, they're still very wild-like, and that it's survival of the fittest with rabbits. And first-time mamas especially just have a hard time figuring it out. I don't know why that is, but they just do. They are not... Rabbits have a short period of time, a short period of years that they are like viable for breeding, a short period of time that they can actually breed. And for whatever reason, with that short period of time, they still struggle in the beginning to have babies. You would think that like they would be set up like where, you know, like you hear the term breed like rabbits. Wild rabbits can have more litters typically than a domesticated rabbit, or more than you would want a domesticated rabbit to have. But they are, I don't know if it's like this in the wild, but domesticated rabbits really just have a hard time with that first litter. They just do. And different people recommend different things. Some people, if you get on like a Meet Rabbit website or like a Meet Rabbit Facebook group or page, some people will tell you to breed directly back. So a lot of times mama rabbits, first time mama rabbits, are not only going to have a hard time figuring things out, the death rate, the deceased rate, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that first word, the rate in which the babies survive is a lot lower than the rate of which the babies survive with the second time mama. Typically, if you're going to have a bad mom, the second litter, she's going to tell on herself, because a lot of times after that first after that first litter, they're going to figure it out. So your first litters sometimes are going to be a little bit underweight. They're not going to measure to like what you want your measurements to be for meat production. A lot of times mamas are going to either not build a nest for their baby, and unfortunately it's very common for mamas to have babies just in the cage, just laying on the bottom of the cage. And like I said before, they need their siblings. So it's better for mama to just like lay them in a pile on the bottom of the cage. That way maybe one or two survive, than her just to lay them sporadically. But a lot of times they do. They just have them just kind of all over the place. Or we'll maybe have some in a warm spot, and then she makes like another weird nest to the side and has some in that nest. A lot of times too, you're going to have mamas that are just kind of scared and don't know what to do. They're not going to allow the babies to feed. They're not going to feed like they should. Like I said, they only feed twice a day, and so that 2 times a day is completely necessary. That they're going hours without eating. So yeah, I mean, they're only eating every 12 hours. And so when you are starting in rabbits, I did a video here recently and I was talking about, should you handle baby rabbits? One of the major reasons, one of the big reasons why you need to handle rabbits and why your hands need to be in the nest. One is to check for deceased babies. I gave 5 reasons. Checking for deceased babies because you don't want disease in that nest. You also don't want dead babies in there, like live babies laying on top of dead babies. That's not good. And then number 2 is you need to be checking bellies. So a lot of times, if you've ever seen like a baby kitten or like a dog or a puppy after they have eaten, their belly swell really big. I probably shouldn't have showed my big swelled belly after supper, but they swell up really big. It's the same thing with baby kits. If she's feeding them twice a day, when you stick your hand in there, however many times you do it, they need to have big bellies. Their bellies need to be really, really full. And the ones that aren't full, you need to probably make mama feed them. A lot of times, here's another neat thing about rabbits, is mamas hover over the nest and babies suck upside down. So if you've seen any of my videos, especially my shorts, I always put the video up. Baby is flipped over on its back and it's feeding like this upside down. So it's little mouse right here and it's sucking on mom upside down. That's just how baby rabbits eat. Like a puppy or something, they would eat, mama would lay to the side and they would eat like this. But for baby kits, for baby rabbits, mama is standing over top of them and they're sucking from underneath. Yes, it's very, I've seen two scenarios where either I've had it happen with Clover. She does this quite often while the babies have been sucking. I mean, I haven't caught her doing it, but I know that she does it because it's happened so much. The babies are sucking, and then she hops out of the nest, and the babies are still attached to her. And a lot of times, if you don't catch those babies, they'll freeze. We have had some that have froze, and we like to never, got them back warm. And, later on they pass away because they freeze. Like I said, they need their siblings. Mama rabbits can also smother the babies if you don't give them enough room in the nesting box. That's why it's so important to give them enough room in the nesting box. That's why I like the nesting boxes that I have now, because it's going to give her an ample amount of room to hover over them and without crushing them. She never has crushed any babies, but it is very likely that she can, that some can, if the nesting box is not a good size or if mama is a new mama. That's just stuff that happens. Like I said, it is survival of the fittest when it comes to rabbits. That's why you kind of have to, and people talk about rabbits being pets all the time, and they talk about raising rabbits for not raising them for meat or anything. If you're going to raise rabbits, rather it be for pet, rather it be for meat, rather it be just for both or whatever you're going to raise them for, you need to prepare yourself for their survival of the fittest mentality, because rabbits can be pretty gruesome. There has been cases where I have caught a rabbit. Clover was actually with her very first litter. She had some stillbirths, and she had one live rabbit, and I caught her cannibalizing on her baby kits. And most of the time they do that because they are scared, because there's something going on and they don't want to draw attention to the nest. And the baby that I did try to save, I tried to bottle feed it, he had a big scratch on him. And so she just didn't know what she was doing and she panicked. And things started to go awry. So she had babies that were out on the cage, bottom on the floor. She was eating a baby. When I found it, it had just part of its body, along with the babies that were just stillbirth, just weren't doing good. And she very well might have killed those babies on purpose. I'm not quite sure. The baby that survived was in the very bottom, and I don't know if she just didn't realize it was there, but it was scratched up pretty bad. We did give her a second chance and she did wonderful though. I'm thinking I'd put a camera on them for night watch so I wouldn't lose sleep. Yeah, they are just, I've raised goats, I've raised chickens, I've raised horses, we've bred all of those things, but when it comes to rabbits, they're literally it is more survival of the fittest for them than anything else that I've ever raised. Although chicken mamas like don't even realize when their babies are gone. I don't even they don't even mourn their loss. I don't know. Chicken mamas are not, fantastic nurturers either. But rabbits are they're built different, y'all. They're just built different. Like I said, they just have that, wild in them. I don't believe they've been domesticated long enough for some of those wild tendencies to be out of them, like you would, maybe like a cat or a dog or something like that. They're wild. They just, I don't know, they're built different. Well, Daisy Keys asked a bunch of questions here, and I hope that it was informational for everybody. I hope y'all learned something. So what has everybody been into? Who has started their seeds? Has anybody started seeds? Let me see if I missed any questions up here. Yeah, I think I read your comment, Eric. It is very neat to see the different ways that they care for animals. It's so different to I catch myself doing that all the time. It's different to see how each rabbit is, or each mama has a different personality as well. I'm excited to see how the mini Rexes do. Mini Rexes are more of a personable rabbit. They have a more docile personality to them, more than like the Flemish Giant, especially the New Zealand. New Zealand's to me are just a little more wild. I think that it's because they're like the most mass produced rabbit. They're the most common rabbit, but they're commonly used for like, meat production. So like just big factories of meat. Along with, they do like testing on them. So I guess they test medication and like different things that, like in the United States that they test animals on. Those are the rabbits that they use. They use the New Zealand. Wow. So you're going to put your house up for sale next month? I started peppers since they take longer to germinate, but need heat mat since found soil 55 and under won't germinate. Yeah. So here's what we're doing. We're going to hopefully, we've got a shelf that we're going to set up in front of double doors in my mother-in-law's bedroom. And she has a gas heater that's in her room. And I'm hoping that the gas heater, along with that window, is going to be enough to stay warm. Her room gets pretty warm. To stay warm for the seeds. We're just going to have to see. I've always raised them here at the house. But we've just got so many, and a lot of them are going to be out at the farm, so just a few are going to be brought here. So I didn't see no point in bringing them here. Also, she has a bigger house than me. And so starting like, 100 seeds in my house probably wouldn't work very well because my house is tiny. That's awesome, Eric. I'm so excited for you all. That's so exciting. Virginia. The only time I've been in Virginia was when they had when I went up that mountain and it was nothing but fog and I couldn't see. I don't have any good memories about Virginia. Well, we got our horse Hannah in Virginia, and she was beautiful. So I do have that good memory. Where was it? Where was that? I can't think of where it was at in Virginia. I wish I could tell you. They had a farm, and the name of their farm was the same as the road, or the same as the body of water that went through there, and I think it was called Rockfish something. So maybe it was Rockfish, Virginia. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. It's been a while. But that's super exciting. It's really, really fun. I can't wait until we can save up and get the things that we need in order to buy a house. We're trying to live life as simply and as debt-free as we can. And so if we have to borrow money from the bank, we like to pay things off completely before we add anything else. And so we are trying to save up a decent amount of money for a down payment on a house and try to get as much of the down payment as we can. That way our loan is a lot smaller. We had just decided from the get-go that was what it was going to be. So when me and him when we first got married, we had one vehicle. He had bought the vehicle when we were engaged, and we got ourselves down to just that one vehicle, and that was our only debt. And we tried to keep, this is our home, but we rent the lot. So the actual home was given to us by his grandmother, and y'all can see it. It's nothing fantastic, but it's home to us, and we rent the lot that it sits on, and then we just had the vehicle payment, and so after that we got and the vehicle was his work truck. It was what he worked with. He's in construction, and he does, a lot of physical labor things. And so that was our only vehicle was his work truck. We made sure we got it paid off. And then once we got it paid off, we saved up money and we bought our car, and our car, I think, is going to be paid off maybe this year or next year. And we did take out just a small loan for another piece of equipment that we needed, but it has worked out where it's paying for itself, and it was a smaller loan and is going to be paid off this year as well. And so once we get those paid off, we can really take that money that we're paying on those loans and put into saving for our house. Even more than, just like what we can take out here and there. We don't live from paycheck to paycheck, but we also take care of an entire farm along with all of our bills. And so we just try to keep everything to a minimum amount, a manageable amount. We try to keep things that if a situation happened and, something happened, something medical happened, something crazy happened, and we keep the loans small enough that we're able to pay them off. We don't want to pile a bunch of debt on ourselves and then start losing things. And so that was our mindset for that. Let me see. Are you okay moving out of Kentucky area? Some places like Tennessee or that. Well, Tennessee has more land. They have more variety. The thing about it is Andy will not leave this area. He probably wouldn't move 2 hours away from this area even. So Kentucky is it in this area in Kentucky. Another thing where he pastors their family church. The church that Andy pastors is his grandfather's church. His grandfather pastored it up until he passed away when he was 80 something. And so Andy has, he's taken over the role of being the pastor of the church. And so he has to be there for that. And so, we want to keep in the realm of 30 to 45 minutes from the church. We don't want to travel, any more than that. And there is some areas that we would like to stay in and we would like to live in, mostly based upon soil. and kind of the price range that we're willing to spend. Here's the problem. A lot of people are moving from the cities to here, and so majority of the houses and the land that sells in this area are people from out of state. And people from out of state are willing to pay asking price or above asking price to have the property. And so it makes it a little bit harder for us, especially since there is a lot of Amish in our area and a lot of Amish coming in our area. And Amish usually buy anywhere from like 10 acres and up. And the range that we're looking for is like 10 to 15 acres, no less than like 8. And so it is harder to find areas like that. It's harder to find property like that that have good soil, which is in our price range, and that aren't being bought up by people, out of state, or people that are looking for land and have the money to spend on land to outbid us. We are nervous about getting a new job and starting over. Been working at my job for 8 years. Yeah, I can imagine that'd be nerve-wracking. We are going to use some of the money we get from our house and going to pay off our debt. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's the problem here. It's crazy to us that, like, the little town that we live in, when I first moved here as a child, my husband is born and raised here, but when I first moved here as a child, like, the population was so low. Like, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know a range. Maybe like 900 to 1,000. Since probably within the last, I'm going to say probably since maybe 2016, 2017, we're like at 2,000 now. So we've gained like 1,000, and they're coming in every day. So right now, right down the road from us, they're already building like a big housing area. I guess, what do you call it, a project or whatever? I guess it's not like a project. They're building a neighborhood down the road from us. And right next to the neighborhood, they're building, guess what? A Dollar Tree or a Dollar General, because every area needs a Dollar General right outside of it. So, and see, we are on the outskirts of town. So my mom lives kind of inside of town. Kind of where the hustle and bustle is. But guys, we are a small town, but she kind of lives inside of town, and we live on the very outside. My sister lives on the outside of town as well. So we live on the outside, but the outside of town is starting to get crowded. We're starting to see a lot more people come through. We're starting to see a lot more people walking. We're starting to see a lot more people in homelessness. We're starting to see a lot more people standing on the end of the interstate looking for money and stuff. And so that's not good. To me, that says that it's getting too much. There's too many people moving here. And so, unfortunately, the housing market is the way it is, on top of just like it becoming too much. Like, we hardly ever go into town. When we leave our house, we are going the opposite. We are going the opposite way. Our farm is 15 minutes from here, but the town that our farm is on, I wouldn't say, I don't know, maybe like 300 to 500 people at the most is in the town that we are in. There is no grocery store. There is no gas station. The only thing that is there is a post office and people's houses. And the post office is a little tiny 1-room building. And so it would be nice to find a spot back there. But how long is it going to be? Like, if it's 15 minutes away, how long is it going to be before the people that are in this town are in that town? And so that makes me really nervous, because I don't like the town life. I don't like that up all night. It's getting bad here where you hear sirens all the time throughout the night. And there's people walking past, and I don't like it at all. Let me see. I'm anxious to move away from crowds. Yeah. To move away from crowds too. I hope my next house is on the back road away from everybody. Yeah. I like getting away from people. I like being way away from people. And I like the area that my mother-in-law and father-in-law are at, because a lot of it, like where our farm is at, if you can see in the videos, like they own 3 acres and you can see houses in the background. They kind of live in like a neighborhood area, like it's a road, and then like people have, like 2 to 3 acre lots, and the whole back of it though is just like a massive farm that these different farmers own that are like stuck in the family. Like they can't sell them outside of the family. That's just how the wills were made up. And so there's a bunch of land, and you don't have to worry about people like living behind your property. Um, so it's either people beside you or in front of you, and there's 3 acres in between. And like their back roads, gravel roads. They just now paved her road, mostly because we complained about it. They paved it, but there's areas within that town that like you go down a gravel road, and it's just forest, and then you'll see like a big long gravel driveway, and you won't even see somebody's house, like, and there's 10 acres in between the next person. And so that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's like back road, 10 acres in between me and the next person. We live off a dirt road, 20 minutes to a gas station, Family Dollar, and a pizza place, 1 hour to the closest grocery store. Love it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the life I'm looking for, Frank. That's the life. That's the life I'm looking for. Where my house is now used to farm field. They split it up and put, oh, I hate that, on it. My neighborhood is real nice. They don't bother me, but I just want my little family in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Yeah, when me and Andy, it's funny because we always use this analogy, but it sounds inappropriate. It sounds bad. But where we want to live, we want to be able to like do whatever we want on our front porch. Like, I don't want people looking into my eyeballs. If I go out on my porch, I don't want you to like see me in my nightgown. Like, I don't want you to be able to see me. I want to be able to do whatever I want to do without you having to worry about it, and without me having to worry about it. And so that's my ideal. I would live farther out than Andy. Like I said, Andy is very close to his family. The difference between me and Andy is I just grew up with like my immediate family. My mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister. And we always lived hours and even states away from our family. And so I can leave my family and be just fine. Like, I love having them. But I can leave my family and be just fine. Andy is not like that. Andy is extremely attached to his family. And, like living 30, 45 minutes away is probably about the extent he would do. I would move an entire state. I would have no problem just moving an entire state. But he's not like that. And so we have to find a middle ground for him and me. And hopefully that will be 45 minutes away from town, where I don't have to worry about people, and enough acreage, 10 to 15 acres that we can, like have our homestead of our dreams. If you all have noticed, we've talked about it on videos and stuff. I was just talking about us trying to get out of debt in order to afford the property that we were doing. If you've noticed, we've sold out of a lot of animals. We just have the rabbits, and we just have the chickens. The rabbits pay for themselves. The big stock chickens, give us eggs and meat, and rabbits give us meat. And his heritage breed exotic chickens are, what's paying for a lot of things. They're, paying for the farm. They're providing income and paying for the farm. And so, we've sold out of a lot of things. That way we can try to continue to save up and put more up. So if we can, we can finish the vehicle, we can finish paying off the vehicle, then we can start saving up more so that we can actually pay for the farm that we want, the property that we want. Let me see. I get the luxury of seeing my 80-year-old neighbor out in his Speedo during the summer because he has a pool that right against my property. Oh, man. See? Why was that so funny to me? I'm picturing him. Oh no. Oh no. Bless your heart. Bless his heart. Oh goodness. I would just ask him to be modest. Sir, can you please be modest? I have a wife and children over here. Yeah. That's why I talk about being able to get out on your front porch in your nightgown and not have somebody look at you. That's my goals. No. Oh no. Boy. Yeah, people, here's the thing, is like neighbors, what some neighbors might think is okay, others do not. And the more people you have in an area, the more people you have that, do behaviors like this and have no, don't even think about the other person. Like, don't even think, would they appreciate this? My father-in-law lives in Florida, and he doesn't live far from the Jacksonville area. And he said, I guess somewhere in Jacksonville or somewhere in that area, they are building like $1 million houses in these neighborhoods. And he said you can literally stick from one house to the other, you could touch hands. You could hold your neighbor's hand if you wanted to. What kind of privacy do you have like that? You would have to have like blinds and blackout curtains. And couldn't listen to your music too loud because it might shake your neighbor's windows, move their stuff on their shelf. I wouldn't like that. That's just not the type of life that I would enjoy. I don't know. I don't see how people do that in these other countries, like in Asia, and places like that where they literally live on top of each other. He said our kids are grown and moved out and might not want to come around here. Yeah. But listen, when you have your own place, when you're living in an area and, you can not have your neighbors and just like eyesight view, you can do things that you want to do. You don't have to worry about. Here's another thing. If somebody comes up on your house when you got a driveway that's a good acre long, if somebody comes up on your house, you're going to hear them before they even get there. You're going to hear the person before they even get there. My dog is going to greet them at the driveway, and that's how I like it. I don't like, and listen, I'd have more than one dog. Koa wouldn't be the only one. If we've got that many acres, we probably have quite a few more. Probably 10 or 15 acres, I'll probably have about 4 dogs or 5. And that's how I like it. That would be the absolute dream. Hopefully the Lord sees fit for us to have it that way. We'll just have to see. I try to be content with what I have. I try to just tell myself that if we just continue to work hard, then we will meet our goal. if we continue to work hard and push through, then we will get to a spot where we can do this. We can get to a spot where, we can, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I'm figuring that all of you on here are middle class people. I'm figuring there's not any millionaires on the live right now. The government has made it so hard on the working class and middle class to survive. If you are working class or middle class, especially if you are my age, especially if you are looking to better yourself, the government is going to make it that much harder on you. They're going to make it harder for you to save. They're going to make it harder for you to buy. And they want it that way. They want the middle class to be put in their place. They want the middle class to just continue to have to slave and work for them so that we can put more money in their pocket. Because let's face it, it's the middle class that are keeping... it's the middle class that are keeping... I can't do it, Eric. It's the middle class who are keeping the government going. It's not the millionaires and it's not the poor people. It's the working class people who are putting forth effort to put the money in the pockets of the people who say that they're working for us. And it's an absolute shame. It's a 100% absolute shame that they're treating the people that put money in their pocket the way that they do. They're taking from us. They're stealing from us. And more than that, I talked about it on the live the other day. They want the middle class to be so poor that we have to depend on them for absolutely everything. They want us to depend on them for health care. They want us to depend on them for food. They want us to depend on them. They've got those free phones now. They want us to depend on them for phones. They probably got government internet that I don't know about. They want us to depend on all housing. They want us to depend on them 100%. That way they can control us in a way that we just continue to work for them and we're working for pennies instead of what we're doing now. When people were talking about, and some of y'all might agree with me, some of y'all might not agree with me. We might get a little sticky here. We might get in a bad situation here. But when everybody said they wanted to put up minimum wage, I kept telling people, what are you going to do when you go to the grocery store and a gallon of milk is $8 and $9 a gallon? Because you want a minimum wage at $15. Guys, the solution to our problem, the solution to the middle class's problem is not to raise minimum wage, because they got us right there. When they decided that they were going to raise the minimum wage and give us more money, guess what? Everything else goes up. And I don't know why everybody thought it was a good idea. I was younger then. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. How many years ago has that been? I know they were talking about it in like 2015 and 2016, and I kept telling everybody, absolutely not. Do not raise minimum wage. That's a horrible idea. And guess what? They did it. And so here we are, and we're paying outrageous amounts for, I don't know what gas is in your all's area. It's like $3 a gallon here, which is crazy for a rural area. Why are they charging $3 a gallon? It's insane to me. But everybody wanted higher minimum wage. I'm not selling feet pics. Throughout my life, we've had big dogs, small dogs, and our Chihuahuas have been the most alert, protective of the property. Middle class here agree. I'm probably lower middle class, and I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, we are what keeps the bowls rolling. It's definitely not the lower class, the people that, just refuse to work. I almost believe, listen, we're not higher middle class by no means. We're, lower middle class. And, we like it that way, that, we're able to maintain our lifestyle. We're able to do things that, that we want. We have to save up for things, but we're not struggling. But a lot of times the lower class are either the elderly who has already paid their debt to society, or the people who just refuse to work. And I hate to be that person, but a lot of times that's what it is. The lower class are the people who refuse to work, or the elderly. Now, you do have people with mental illness and things like that, but a lot of times it's just people who don't want to. I've found, at least in our area, a lot of those people that are my age that refuse to work think that they're too good for the work out there. And so I can't stand that. I can't stand somebody that thinks that I can't stand somebody's mentality. I love everybody. I can't stand somebody's mentality thinking that they're too good to do certain things. You hear about a lot of times, like, people will say, oh, well, there's no work out there. And you'll say, well, go get a job at McDonald's. They're hiring $15 an hour. Well, I'm not working at McDonald's. Why? Why are you not working there? Are you too good to work there? Are you too smart to work there? Are you too qualified to work there? I mean, you don't be too good for anything. Don't be willing to do whatever. If it puts food on the table, be willing to do whatever. Don't depend on somebody else to put the food on the table for you. It's called work ethic. It's called work. It's called being able to do something and provide for yourself. If you've got to work at the McDonald's for a couple years to get some type of something under your belt to move up to another job that's maybe higher paying, or something that you feel more qualified for, then go ahead. But you have to start somewhere. My very first job was working at Dairy Queen. I didn't stay there long, but before I quit, I moved on to another job, and I was a hostess at a restaurant. And then I went from being a hostess at a restaurant to working in childcare. All while being pregnant and taking college classes and going to school. And so it aggravates, and I don't say that as pride in myself. I say that as I was willing to work and do. I was willing to pay for the things that I needed. I was willing to work for myself and provide for my family. And a lot of people, it irks me that people have that mentality. They want to get upset that there's no work out there, but really it's just that you don't want to work. And it's aggravating. It is aggravating, Lucy. Gas is $3.49 right now. Wow. Businesses are closed due to can't find help. Absolutely. Yeah, nobody wants to work. $1.89 here. Yeah. Yeah. What about what it was here too? A lot of businesses are closing here because they can't find help. Yep. Yeah, I know somebody right now who is working a specific job. I don't want to give out too many details because I might give them away right here. Who's working a specific job and has been laid off and is not drawing any kind of unemployment because he wasn't at the job long enough, and he is just not working. And I've passed multiple companies that are hiring for that specific job that he just got educated for. So he just doesn't want to work. It's not because he can't. He just won't. McDonald's was my first on the books job. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, there was even jobs that I worked as a teenager, a young teenager, as child labor that I never got paid for, but I loved it. My best friend's parents had multiple restaurants that I would work at in the summer. I would help them do in the summer, and I loved it. When I was it wasn't like she said, it wasn't an on the books job. I was just working. And I didn't really get paid for it. They just paid me in food. They kept me fed for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I was okay with that because I was 13 years old. The second job that I had that was kind of under the table, I did get paid for. I worked at a realtor's office and helped this lady kind of get her books. She was kind of behind, and I helped her, write in her books and write different names down. And I did that work for her. And then, like my first on the books job, like I said, was Dairy Queen. Made $20 a day baling hay and taking care of cows for a farmer. I knew. Yeah, there's work to be had. There's jobs that need done. But we've got these generations coming up that think that they're like better qualified to do something that the rest of us had to do. Like, they think that, they look down upon people like us that did those jobs. And they think, here's the thing too, and me and my husband talk about this a lot of times. I don't know how it is in your all's area, but people that come from Mexico, Mexicans that come from Mexico are taking over the jobs here in our area. And they're taking over the jobs that, like you were talking about bale and hay. My husband used to work in backer fields, tobacco. Kentucky was a big tobacco thing back in the day, before I'm going to say maybe 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, up until the 2000s. Up into the 2000s, tobacco was a big crop here, and so that's what everybody worked in. And that's what everybody worked in. We are talking about people not wanting to work. We are talking about people that are acting like they're too good for the jobs that are out here and refusing to work and not doing anything for yourself. Yes, we're in Kentucky. And tobacco was just a big crop in this area, and that's what my husband did. And I don't even know how long. Well, he got his very first on-the-book job at 16 years old, and he had his very first apartment at 16, 17 years old. Was making income and paying his bills at 16 and 17 years old. He was in the backer field, tobacco field, working at, when he was able to work, whenever he was able to hold his own weight. I don't know what age, but he knows. I could ask him, but he's way back there. So he was willing to do that. He was willing to work for his money. And back in the day, they used to pay by stick. So if y'all know anything about tobacco, there's a tobacco stick. There's a tobacco plant. Well, they got paid by the stick. So it was the amount of sticks that they filled. So there was a certain, I don't know exactly because I never did it, but he would be able to tell you would like fill a stick up, and that was what you got paid for. And I think the last time that he did it, I think he said it was like $7 a stick. So now there's hardly any tobacco fields in our area because they can't find anybody to work it. And the tobacco fields that there are, there's Mexicans working those fields. There's also Mexicans doing a lot of the construction and grunt work that people don't want to do. So your roofing work and things like that, a lot of them are doing that. I know where Jeffersonville is. Yeah, landscaping. Yep. Migrant workers, not farmers. Yeah. Yep. That's all that's willing to help around here. That's all that's willing to help around here. And that's insane to me. Because there's people that I've graduated with, boys and girls that I've graduated with, that are fully capable of working, but they've got the mentality that they're too good for it. And it's unfortunate because not only are they wasting away their life with their great ability that they have, or the jobs that they think they're better at, but don't actually do, they're also killing the farmer. If he doesn't have people to gather his crops, to harvest his crops, he can't grow those crops. If he can't grow those crops, then he's losing money. He's having to drop contracts. He's having to, it's taking away from his family. So not only, it's so weird how things are now. It's so backwards and so weird. And what's crazy about it is the government is encouraging this. They're encouraging it. And I talked about it on the video the other day. They're encouraging people to depend on them for absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. You need food? We got it. You need housing? We got it. You need a cell phone, which is not, that's a luxury to me. We got it. And it's crazy. Drives me nuts. They take all the trees and landscaping jobs for, yeah, buddy. I know all about that. My husband's in construction. And so, he knows those things. That's amazing that you lived in Jeffersonville. Were you down here for work or just, what was it? Because I know exactly where that's at. It's like, what is it? It's Camargo, Jeffersonville, and then you get into what, Menifee County or Powell County? Is it Menifee or Powell? Menifee, right? You know what I was talking about. But yeah, I don't understand this mentality of just not wanting to like put effort into life, to just depend on somebody for absolutely everything. And that's why I encourage people so much to just get started in this, to just go ahead and start growing your food and doing the things. Start your garden, get good in your garden, then start raising other things. Raise chickens, raise rabbits, raise meat, raise different kinds of meat for your farm, raise pork, raise, I don't know, all the things, raise herbs, learn to forage. Ark hopped on here right at the right time. Learn to forage. Learn to do these things. That way you can depend on you. That way you're less likely to depend on them. You're more likely to depend on you. Left wing brain worms. Don't get me started, Eric. I just want the best for everybody. I agree with you. Eric. I live close enough to Ohio. My mom is from the northern part of Kentucky, almost into Ohio. And my dad worked in the northern part of Kentucky into Ohio. And my parents have very good work ethic. All of their children have good work ethic. But yeah, I know the area you're talking about, and it's a lot of poor people and a lot of people that don't want to do nothing. A lot of drug addicts. And that's another thing. The drug addict epidemic is sweeping the world, the nation, the United States 100%. And it is making some of the laziest bunch of people I've ever seen in my life. Because they just don't have nothing better to do for themselves. They just don't have nothing better to. I don't know how it is outside of Kentucky, but Kentucky is a major, at least in my area, and I don't know, like 3 hours anyway. The drug epidemic has hit us so hard. I don't know how it is in your all's area, but it is so hard. And I think that has a lot to do with just like there's nothing here. In our rural area, there's just nothing here. So people try to find ways to have fun. And then in their ways of trying to have fun, they end up getting themselves into a lifelong addiction situation, and then they are addicted to whatever, and they just live here in town with few stops, but we have 7 pot shops. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That gets on my nerves. That's so annoying. That would drive me nuts, Daisy. I would probably be writing the county commissioner and saying, why? Why is this necessary? We don't have anything like that around here. I don't even know if pot is legal here. I think CBD oil is in Kentucky, but I know you can grow hemp. Yeah. I don't think pot is legal here. I know CBD is, and you can grow hemp, which hemp is not marijuana by any means. But I think that's the only thing that can be grown close to marijuana. There was, like in a town, like 30 minutes away from us, they had some type of factory that they like made, I think they grew marijuana plants. And they did stuff with like CBD oil, but I think that was as close as it came in Kentucky. I don't think that they can actually sell, like, there, as far as I know, there's no pot shops. Meth is bad around here. Yeah, meth is horrible here. But it's mostly, in my opinion, it just, so it's probably coming for us. Meth is not as bad as I think that they probably have a lot of problems getting it here. So usually it's just opioids. Opioids is the worst thing here. I think that it's more likely to find somebody that is overdosed on fentanyl. Fentanyl is the worst thing. Most overdoses here are usually fentanyl. I guess they can, I don't know. I know meth was like a thing at one point in time. Heroin was a thing, but yeah, it's awful. But fentanyl and opioids is a big thing around here. And I think that goes a lot with, you hear it talked about, and I might be wrong here, maybe I shouldn't say it, but a lot of that, we're talking about Mexican migrant workers. I think that comes with them. If I'm just being 100% honest, I think that probably comes in with them, because I don't really know how we would have any other access to it, because we're a rural area. We're just, we're too small. It would be really obvious if stuff come in like by the truckloads. Yeah, I hate that for you, Frank. That's absolutely, it's heartbreaking. I haven't personally lost anybody to fentanyl, but I have personally known people who have passed away to fentanyl. And I don't know if it's like this for you all. I guess where we're in a rural area, it always, like a fentanyl overdose happens within like a few days period. Like it hits an area, and I guess they all get a hold of it. Multiple people get a hold of it, and multiple people get a hold of it, and then they just, a bunch of them, like in one area, get a hold of it, and then they just pass away. And it's awful. It's crazy to me. Just the complete, utter destruction that it has done to families. It's complete. The drug epidemic has completely just ripped families apart, one after another. Just over and over and over again. I mean, usually you meet somebody on the street, somebody you've never even seen before, and you ask them, have they been affected by the drug epidemic? And they've usually lost a nephew, a niece, a child, a parent, a cousin, a best friend. They've lost somebody to the drug epidemic. And it's not going away. And it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. It started with prescriptions. Yeah, I have somebody that I was very close to, that their drug addiction started with prescriptions. It was actually it was during the time that they were just like given opioids without, like, I guess they knew people were addicted to them, but they weren't doing anything about it. And this specific person had knee surgery, and they were just in pain all the time, and they were in pain, and I don't know if they were in pain all the time, but they just they got addicted in the end, and just kept going back to the doctor for opioids, and he just kept giving them to this individual, and Now this individual is in horrible, horrible shape. And I seen this person the other day, and they have aged by like 40 years. I didn't even recognize the person. My husband pointed this individual out to me, and I was literally in shock. I thought, my goodness, I felt so bad. I felt so bad. And people that I've like went to school with, just you see them walking down the street, and they're just not in good shape. It breaks your heart. It really does, because you just want better. You want better for them. And it's just, I don't know, it's one of those heartbreaking epidemics. It's an epidemic. It's just, it's sweeping the nation and taking a lot of people with it. And the worst part is they're doing it to themselves. You just watch them destroy themselves. It's extremely sad. It's unbelievable. I can't even imagine the pain that people go through when they lose somebody very close to them, to that. And I'm sorry again, Frank. I hate that. I hate that for you. It's awful. I can't imagine. Well, guys, we've been on here about an hour and 15 minutes, and I've got some house chores I've got to finish. So I think we'll call it a night. What time is it? Yep, it's a little bit after 9. I started a little bit before 8 o'clock. But I appreciate everybody that's popped in, and we've had some good conversations. I hope that everybody is doing well. I hope everybody has what am I trying to say? Why am I having such a hard time talking? A good rest of their evening. I hope that everybody comes back for the next one. If you're new here, we have lives on Wednesday and Sunday evening, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But at 8 o'clock. So midweek live, Wednesday, 8 o'clock, and then weekend live, Sunday, 8 o'clock. But I appreciate everybody who's popped in. Daisy Q, I will be watching for the bunnies too. Oh, I hope that your statement that they're going to have babies tonight will come to fruition. Y'all, you pray for it. Well, I mean, if you want to. You don't have to. But that's kind of a luxury prayer. That's a prayer that's not necessary, but a luxury. I would appreciate if they had babies. But God bless y'all, and good night, and I hope that we can see you on the next one. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.